Shalom everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening to Yom HaZikaron, Israeli Memorial Day services at Ahavat Ammi International. This year, these services are simultaneously broadcasted in multiple languages all throughout the world. My name is Rabbi Dr. Shapira. And today, together with you, I am standing for all the heroes who laid their life to fight for the Jewish nation. But they are still fighting today. The battle continues until the coming of the Messiah. So although you're going to hear a lot of Hebrew today, I'm going to let the words and the pictures speak to everybody today, to your hearts, on what is good, what is holy, what is right, and what is true, so that you will be able to stand with us, with Jacob, with Israel in those days. The program today will be broken into two parts. We have prepared for you a collection of songs with this song that you're going to hear shortly called Panim v'Shemot, faces and names. This is exactly what we want to do here today. Remember the faces and remember the names, because there are so many. May their memory will be blessed today. Then we will go to our cantor, Cantor Gordon, to lead us in a few of the prayers. In the very heart of the message, we have brought into the studio Mr. Carmi. He spoke in Hebrew, but with technology, we translated it, maybe not with 100% accuracy, but with 90% accuracy. Everything that he says, from Hebrew to English, Spanish, Portuguese, and many other languages. The reason is simple. We want you to know the truth. Please, this evening, share this broadcast like you never shared before, and consider bringing a gift offering, a tzedakah, to help Ahavat Ammi to continue to spread the truth. Operation Israel is the main fund that I'm asking you to go today to support, to contribute. God bless you. Am Israel Chai, and let us stand even in difficult days today, and to say, we remember. Shalom to everybody. God bless, and thank you for being here.
כשהלב בוכה רק אלוהים שומע, הכאב עולה מתוך הנשמה, אדם נופל לפני שהוא שוקע, בתפילה קטנה חותכת הדממה, שמע ישראל אלוהי אתה כל יכול, נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל, בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד, חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אבחר. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עשה שיגמר כי לא נותר בי כוח. כשהלב בוכה הזמן עומד מלכת, האדם רואה את כל חייו פתאום. אל הלא נודע הוא לא רוצה ללכת, לאלוהיו קורא על סף תהום. שמע ישראל אלוהי, אתה כל יכול. נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוהי, עכשיו אני לבד. חזק אותי אלוהי, עשה שלא אבחר. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עשה שיגמר כי לא נותר בי כוח.
אנא התר את צבח הגעגועים הגויים.
התר לנו להיות מדי פעם עצובים, כואבים,
ללטף בליבנו פנים אהובים,
ולדעת שהם בידיים טובות, בידיך אוהבות, בידיך האוהבות. ריבונו של עולם, הכותב עזור ושלח מזור למי שאיבד את עצמו בדרך הזו.
לאמצע מנוחה שלמה לכל מי ששבו מהמלחמה.
רואים בגופה אך נפשה
נפשם נותרה שותתת הדם בשדה הקרב לאחר שדמם.
נפשם נותרה שותתת הדם
בשדה הקרב לאחר שדמם.
לאחר שדמם
אלא לאור חייהם וגבורתם,
לצלמם ובדמותם,
לחנך את ילדינו לאורם ולזכרם,
ויהיו כל מעשינו עילוי לנשמתם.
מעתה ועד עולם. נוסע על כביש מהיר, מגע העצב שבאוויר, ובחלון שלי הנוף חולף מולי, או שאני חולף מולו. כל שיר חושף איזה סוד, מותח עוד גשר לחצות, הוא מכוון כליו, אני דרוך אליו, רוצה לדעת את כולו. ואז עוברים בי שלב שלב, מי שהייתי, מי שעכשיו, כל הפנים והשמות כולם, כל השירים שהם לקחו איתם. ואז אימי מרחוק, ואת קולות רחוקים של צחוק, ריחות של יום שבת אבי מרים מבט ושתי עיניים עייפות, ובחצר של ביתי ירוק טהור כמו בילדותי, השער הגדול וחריקת החול ושתי רגלי היחפות כמו עוברים בשלב שלב, מי שהייתי מי שעכשיו, כל הפנים והשמות כולם, כל השירים שהם לקחו איתם, כל הפנים והשמות כולם, כולם, והשירים שהם לקחו איתם, כל שיר חושף זיכרון.
ואז הגיעה שבת שחורה, שמחת חג נשטפה בפחד נורא, פתאום נפתחו שערי גיהנום, ריח של מוות בכל מקום, מקום מוגן הופך מסוכן, חלון נשבר, חלום גם, עץ שרוף, קיר מוכתר, אש רעה שלא הייתה מעולם. בסוף ימי שרת בית הופך שדה קרב, קהילה פצועה שותתת דם, כואבת כל לב של אדם. מחבקים, שבורים, בלילות נשרפים מבפנים, תשובות מחפשים, מתקשים להאמין, אמרו שיש אל מלא רחמים. בסוף פריחת חצר בית הופך שדה קרב, קהילה פצועה שותתת דם, כואבת כל לב של אדם. האם נשוב אצלותינו לחוש, האם נשען בביתנו בלי לחשוש, האם תינוק יגיח לעולם בבית חם נעים ומושלם, האם האדמה תיתן פריה ואם האדמה לא תהיה בוכייה, מי
בסוף ישמור עליי, ירגיע אותי, יביט בעיניי. בסוף ימי שרת, בית הופך שדה קרב, קהילה שותתת דם, לא מאמינה. אומרים שתקווה מת אחרונה. יהודי
ומיה
ותן מזרח קדימה
עין לציון צופיה עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו שנות 2000 להיות החופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון ירושלים להיות החופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון
I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not allow your foot to slip. Your guardian does not slumber. Behold, the guardian of Israel, neither slumber nor sleeps. God is your keeper. God is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all evil. God will protect your being. God will guard you coming and going from this time forth and forever. Amen.
Sinai,
שמיים בארץ עזרי מעם אדוני עושי שמיים בארץ.
Giver of life, our time are in your hand. One generation comes into the world to be blessed with the days of shalom and safety. Another goes through the valley of the shadow, enduring the cruelties of persecution and war. Heartbreaking have been the times that have fallen to our lot, O Adonai.
We have lived through years of tyranny and destruction. We are schooled in sorrow and acquainted with grief. We have seen the just defeated, the innocent driven from their homes, and the righteous suffer martyrdom of merciless as any ages have witnessed.
שלא ייגמר לעולם. החול בחיים רישוי של המים ברק השמים תפילת האדם החול בחיים רישוי של המים never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of man, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the man.
At this hour of memorial, we recall with grief all your children who have perished through the cruelty of the oppressor, victim of demonic hate, the aged and the young, the learning and the unlettered, all driven in multitudes along the road of pain and pitiless death.
Their very presence on earth was begrudged them, for they brought your covenant of mercy and justice to the recollection of your enemies. They perished because they were a symbol of your eternal law. Their death has brought darkness to the human soul.
They lie in nameless graves, in far-off forests and lonely fields, and the substance of many was scattered by the winds of the earth, four corners, yet they shall not be forgotten.
We take them into our hearts and give them a place beside the cherished memories of our own loved ones. They are now ours.
A Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He made me lie down in grassy pastures. He leads me by quiet water. He restores my soul. He guides me in the journey of righteousness for the sake of his own name, even if I pass through that dark ravine. I will fear no disaster, for you are with me. Your rod and staff reassure me. You prepare a table for me, even in the midst of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil from an overflowing cup. Goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in the house of Adonai forever.
Adonai Rohi Lo Atzar Lo Echsar Bin Yod Esher Yarbitzeni Al menuchoy nahaleini Nafshi yeshover yanecheni v'magle tzedek Lemon Shemo. Ooh, the Lord is my shepherd. Ooh, I shall not want. Come, gilech v'getzal mavet, lo yirah, ki ata imadi. Shevecha mishantecha, hema yinachamuni. Taror lefanai shulchan neged zorerai. Tishanta Vashem enoshi kosi revaya ach tov achesed yirlefuni kol yemei chayai v'shavti b'zeit Adonai leorech yami.
O God of life, amid these ceaseless tides of change which sweep away the generation, your love remains to comfort us and give us hope. Around us are life and death, decay and renewal, the flowing rhythm that all things must obey. Our life is a dance to a song we cannot hear. Its melody courses through us for a little while, then seems to cease. When it's the melody, and whither does it go? In darkness as in light, we turn to you, the source of life, and the answer to all its mysteries. What can we know of that? We who cannot understand life. We study the seed and the cell, but the power deep within them will always elude us. Though we cannot understand, we accept life as a gift of God, yet death, life's twin, we face with fear. But why be afraid? That is a heaven to the weary, a relief for the sorely afflicted, a destination of life eternal for those who have accepted our Yeshua's promise. We are safe in death as in life. There is no pain in death. There is only the pain of the living as they recall shared loves and as they themselves fear to die. Calm us, O God, when we cry out in our fear and our grief. Turn us anew towards life. Awaken us to the warmth of human love that speak to us of you. We shall fear no evil as we affirm your kingdom of life. Today we remember all of them, each and every one of those 24,213 Chalalei Israel. We remember each one of them as their name is written in heaven. In the rising of the sun, and it is going down.
We remember them.
In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter.
We remember them.
In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring.
We remember them.
In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn.
We remember them.
In the beginning of the year, at Rosh Hashanah, and when it's end.
We remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength.
We remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart.
We remember them.
When we have joys, we yearn to share.
We remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Ametzein Nechuna Nechona Tachat Kanfech HaShechina Im Kedoshim Udorim Kezor Harakim HaZahirim Lenishmat Yakirenu Shehalchu Leolamam עמי. יסירם בסתר כנרפל לעולמים. ותצרור ותצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני נחלתם וינוחו בשלום, בשלום המשכבן.
We remember today those soldiers, the servant of the Lord. Please join me for Isaiah 53. הנה ישכיל עבדי, ירום ונישא, וגבה מאוד. כאשר שממו עליך רבים, כן, משחת מאיש מראהו, ותוארו מבני אדם. כן, יזה גויים רבים עליו, יקפצו מלכים פיהם, כי אשר לא סופר להם, ראו, ואשר לא שמעו, התבוננו. מי האמין לשמועתנו? וזרוע אדוני, על מי נגלתה? ויעל כיונק לפניו, וכשורש מארץ צייה. לא תואר לו, ולא הדר, ונראהו. הוא לא מראה, הוא נחמדהו. נבזה וחדל אישים, איש מכאובות, וידוע חולי. וכמסתר פנים ממנו, נבזה ולא חשבנו. אכן, חלנו הוא נשא, ומכאובנו סבלם, ואנחנו חשבנהו, נגוע, מוכה אלוהים ומעונה. והוא מחולל מפשענו, מדוכא מעוונותינו, מוסר שלומנו עליו, ובחבורתו נרפא לנו. כולנו כצאן טעינו, איש לדרכו פנינו, ואדוני הפגיע בו את עוון כולנו. ניגשו, נענה, ולא יפתח פיו, כסה לטבח יובל, וכרחל לפני גוזוזיה, נעלמה, ולא יפתח פיו. מעצר וממשפט, לוקח את דורו. מי ישוחך כי נגזר מארץ חיים, מפשע עמי נגע למו. ויתן את רשעים קברו, ואת עשיר במותיו, על לא חמס עשה, ולא מרמה בפיו. ואדוני חפץ דקאו, החלי אם תשים אשם נפשו, יראה זרע, יאריך ימים, וחפץ אדוני בידו יצלח. מעמל נפשו יראה, יסבע בדעתו, יצדיק צדיק עבדי לרבים, ועוונותם הוא יסבול. לכן יחלק לו ברבים, ואת עצומים יחלק שלל תחת אשר הערה למוות נפשו, ואת פושעים נמנע, והוא חטא רבים נשא, ולפושעים יפגיע. Amen. We continue now with the modern Kaddish with the Chazan.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותה וימליך מלכותה, ויצמח פורקנה ישוע משיחה. אמן. בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשו בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shalom everybody. My name is Rabbi Dr. Shapira and I'm the founder of Ahavat Ammi International. My country, the country of Israel, has been brutally attacked where hundreds upon hundreds of innocent civilians, children, little babies, Holocaust survivors, and complete families have been murdered. Because of that, Ahavat Ammi International have been launching now a brand new fund. The proceeds, 100%, will go to Israel. Operation Israel. As you're watching the events unfold in Israel, I'm asking you today to give a hand, help us to help those in great needs. Ahavat Ammi International and Operation Israel have already identified several significant funds, those who are in great needs to fight this war, both physically and spiritually, who need our support. Please give us this great support that is needed right now for the state of Israel and for the Jewish people. Am Yisrael Chai. God bless you and shalom. Thank you for joining us this evening for our very special services. Before we go to our guest speaker, Mr. Adi Carmi, who is the subject matter expert on everything Gaza related, I want to leave you with a word from me today. What do we remember in Yom HaZikaron? The prophet Moshe Rabbeinu spoke about this specific thing of Yom HaZikaron for us to think about and to remember. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 29, verses 13 and 14, he spoke to the children of Israel. He said, "You are standing here today to enter into a covenant. Those who are here with us and those who are not." What did Moses mean by those words? I believe that he meant that all other generations that will come after the generation of the wilderness will have the obligation to follow in the footsteps of this generation who left Egypt. Tonight, we are all counting the Omer. We are entering into the 20th day of the counting of the Omer, wherever you are. And I believe that we do have a responsibility today to remember this generation of 1948, the generation that fought in 1956 and in 1967, the generation of 1982, the generation of the Holocaust, and the generation of October the 7th. Do not forget, any generation, we walk with accountability to one another. As it says, all of Israel is accountable to one another. May we all walk in accountability and baseless love. And that's what we remember in Yom HaZikaron. God bless you, everybody. Let's go to this very special interview. Please consider supporting the work here of Ahavat Ammi International Operation Israel.
Hello, dear viewers, and welcome. My name is Dr. Shapira, and tonight, Memorial Day, we want really explain to the whole world the current situation in Israel, the alternatives of State of Israel, and really make an assessment in everything that is happening at the moment, also in the northern border, and also in the southern front. And that's why we invited you to our studio today. Mr. Adi Carmi. Adi has special understanding of everything that is currently happening in the country. And I hope today, everyone who watches us in any language will really begin to understand what is happening right now. In the land of Israel, in Gaza, and I know a lot of people contacted us, and we were also asked what President Biden is doing. What is happening? We heard his speech a few days ago, and we will try to understand everything. So I really want to invite Adi Carmi for an assessment. First of all, Adi, thank you for agreeing to come to the studio. You can give us really realistic picture about what's happening right now. Where do we stand? A lot of people feel like we're in limbo. So let's first start to understand where we are. So please, thank you.
Yes. First, I must honestly say that we are in a very uncomfortable situation that we fell into. State of Israel withdrew from the Gaza Strip to a line that was agreed upon by everyone who understands the lines of borders between entities and countries. The State of Israel made a complete withdrawal to the international border of the State of Lebanon. And in fact, the State of Israel is surprised and attacked for no reason at all. A preliminary background to some actions she performed. On the contrary, the State of Israel allowed the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, Hamas, to send about 20,000 laborers to work within the State of Israel. Allowed them to conduct themselves independently. The State of Israel did not violate any sovereignty in Lebanon. The State of Israel has not violated Iran's sovereignty. And in fact, for October, we are under attack from the Gaza Strip in an unprecedented manner. Surprisingly, and the surprise comes from a very, very simple reason, in my view, at the strategic level. We are a people who seek life. We are a people who think positively. We are a people who looked with Western eyes that sanctify life. And we received instead murder, killing, rape, kidnappings. After a few days, we get another arena from the north. Now, the State of Israel is in the campaign in the Gaza Strip. We are in a battle against Lebanon, against Hezbollah. We are in a type of battle and struggle against the global terrorist entity called Iran. And we are in a campaign to stop terrorism and prevent terrorist attacks in Judea and Samaria. When in the corner, we also have Syria in the northern arena, from which the Iranians are trying to make every effort to produce infrastructure for the purpose of attacking the State of Israel, also from this arena of the Golan Heights.
Wait, Eddie. It's a lot of arenas to understand at once. Let's focus for a second. Can you give us like a timeline? Here's the 7th of October. We are now in May. Let's focus on the first arena for a second. It's hard for me to call the main arena right now Hamas. Maybe it's in the north, but let's focus on this arena for a second of Hamas. from the 7th of October. If you can give us a timeline, explain to us what happened, where did we get stuck, and how do you see the progress right now? What are the alternatives? This will help us sort things out.
In fact, the state of Israel reached a situation of unprecedented fighting in front of the Gaza Strip in the south of the country since 1945. I'm not even talking about 1948. They entered our villages, murdered, robbed, raped, kidnapped close to 1,500 Israelis, that their entire crime was that they were Israelis in the absolute sovereign territory of the state of Israel. And from that moment, the state of Israel declared war on Hamas. Actually, after a number of days in which the terrorists who infiltrated the state of Israel were eliminated, in the first few days, all the settlements were liberated. And we were actually surprised as a country that thrives on the sanctity of life, which thought, apparently, that Hamas turned to the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip to care for education and the economy. I do not want to get into the issue of operational intelligence because it is still difficult for me to contain the matter. I fail to understand as a citizen of the state of Israel, as someone who for close to 30 years was a fighter at the front of the operational countervailing combative action. I can't figure it out yet though. After a few days that the state of Israel recovered, we actually organized for an attack and entered the Gaza Strip in order to destroy all of Hamas's infrastructure and to destroy this organization with the first and foremost goal being the release of the abductees. In fact, the fighting in the first 2 or 3 months was very, very intense, moving from house to house, from shaft to shaft, from tunnel to tunnel, from terrorist infrastructure to terrorist infrastructure. When Hamas uses the population, the civilian as a human shield, not only in the civilian population, it is used in clinics, hospitals, schools, kindergartens. He built a terrorist entity that she has nothing but evil in the whole world. Above ground, below ground, over 30,000 terrorists. Their entire doctrine is murder, killing, and the elimination of the Jewish state and the elimination of the entire Jewish people, by the way. Anyone who thinks that Hamas is some kind of entity, let's call it a small one, that operates only in the Gaza Strip is wrong. No, Hamas is terror organization under the agenda of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood is the extreme Islam that talks about conquering the whole world on the conquest of Europe, on the eventual arrival in the United States, on the takeover of extreme Islam over the whole world. You have to understand this. In fact, the state of Israel is like the Dutchman with his finger in the dam. It is actually fighting at the forefront of the entire Western democratic world against a murderous and criminal terrorist entity. And so from the October 7th days, after organizing and within about 3 weeks, the state of Israel enters and fights against the terrorists house by house. Now you have to understand, this is a population of every 2 million inhabitants over an area of 365 square kilometers that is based upon working for terrorism. How is it possible that within hospitals, within the kindergarten, within schools, within the civilian population, missiles are produced, explosive devices are produced, means for terrorists to commit suicide? How is it possible that the world is looking at this and it does not understand that Hamas must be destroyed? And all that, when we start this war, when there are about 250 innocent Israelis, women, children, elderly people who are in Hamas dens as abductees are not safe. They are abductees. And hence, we are forced to fight, as of today, after they murdered a great many of the abductees. We are talking about 132 abductees, including women, children, the elderly, and we must complete the mission. The state of Israel, in fact, stopped on Rafah's line. I tell you, if you ask me, there is no reason to stop at Rafah's line. With all due respect to Egypt, Rafah's is not special, and she is no different from the terror attacks of Hamas. It's just that right now, it has a very large concentration of citizens from the north of the Gaza Strip who arrived there after it was necessary to evacuate the population from Gaza City itself and from all the settlements in the north of the Gaza Strip towards the south. And I can't understand the logic of the whole world with the thinking that we will leave Rafah as a city of refuge for the people of the Sinwar, the abominable murderer, the monster. I don't even compare him to an animal, because an animal is much more enlightened than this monster. This, and in my opinion, we must complete the mission in Rafah. We must see the release of the abductees, and only then it is impossible to talk, with whom we will talk, about the replacement of the Hamas regime, who will take the reins and manage the civil life of the Palestinians, as the state of Israel in future generations will not allow to the intensification of terrorism in the territories of the Gaza Strip, not missiles. No self-inflicted torture, no suicide bombers, anywhere, at any time that the state of Israel knows that there is an intention to commit, we must go in and neutralize and destroy the enemy. We need to understand that we, over the years, and we'll talk about it later, but over the years, we've allowed them to live their lives. And everything they did, and all the funds they received, and all the support they received from Qatar, and in general, also initially from the European Union, from all the countries of the world, everyone who put their money in the Gaza Strip is actually enabled this organization to intensify in terms of terrorism to monstrous dimensions which did not exist and were not created anywhere in the world. There is no such thing.
Excuse me, Adi, I want to ask you a question. It is difficult with what you just said. Are we, the state of Israel, have not transferred the money to the Gaza Strip?
The state of Israel, as a state that did not transfer the money to Gaza for support of Hamas, Israel allowed the Qatar to transfer the money to Gaza.
Where the money reached?
Indeed, I think, by the way, I said this even 4 or 5 years ago. I am also recorded on this issue that it was a strategic mistake. We thought that through an underground barrier in which billions were invested, we avoid from Hamas carry out his plot. Because look, you can get into it. Hamas made his intention known. From the day of its establishment, it has a written, clear, sharp charter engraved on his flag for the destruction of the state of Israel. What is it that I hear people in European countries or in the United States say? From the river to the sea, they call for the destruction of the state of Israel. They actually agree with a terrorist organization which calls for the extermination of all the Jews of the state of Israel, all the citizens of the state of Israel. It's a complete delusion. And so I think we made a lot of mistakes. I'm talking about us as a country. I can tell you that personally, since 1994, I realized that there was no chance of reaching some sort of settlement with the Palestinians. It is after I simply talked with senior officials, including Hamas leaders, and understood and read their statement of faith, their charter, that I understood what they were saying in Arabic. Only we want to talk maybe in English, we want to talk maybe in people's language of enlightenment, people who sanctify life, who think about the economy, who think about education, who think about culture, who think about freedom of expression. There is no such thing in their worldview. Check how the thousands of Christians who used to be in the Gaza Strip live. I tell you, there are none left. Check whether a person in the Gaza Strip can be transgender or with a tendency to be conscious, belong to the gay community. There is no such thing, think it. it should be understood that anyone who calls and encourages Hamas is strengthening it, the force of terror, darkness that encourages murder. And I suggest, for everybody to learn a little, read, get to the bottom of the matter, to understand what the state of Israel is dealing with. I think we were wrong twice in assessing the power and ability of Hamas in terms of their terror capabilities. And the second time I think we made a mistake. It's during the break in fighting. We took about 3 months off and we didn't immediately enter Rafah. You could say maybe the Americans controlled us, maybe international parties. I think the task should have been completed continuously, resolutely, in such a way that we reach the last houses of terror, Rafah, as we did in Gaza City, as we did in the north of Israel, as we did in Han Yunis, which is near Rafah. And I don't see any other choice, because Hamas does not intend to release hostages. As we see, the proposal he submitted now, he could have submitted 3 months ago. He is not doing it. You have to understand, Sinwar, everyone who knows him knows that he doesn't care if 100,000 more will die from his own people, even if another 500,000 Palestinians die. After all, the world is silent when the Syrians, and Assad murdered upwards close to 1 million Syrians. Did anyone even go to demonstrations across Europe and across the United States? 1 million. I'm not talking about those who are killed because they are terrorists or harming people who, although they are not involved, but yes, they are in a combat zone. Yes, sometimes people get hurt when there is a war. Also, England and also the United States and also other countries. In wars too, people are injured, sometimes innocent of a crime. But the elimination of the Hamas regime and all the Hamas terrorists is an obligation, not only for the sake of the Jewish people and the state of Israel, but for the sake of humanity as a whole.
Let's stop for a second. I want to understand one thing. Are we capable in destroying the Hamas?
Great question. We will not be able to destroy the idea of Hamas and of the Muslim Brotherhood. We certainly can destroy the Hamas regime and remove it from control in the Gaza Strip. And we absolutely must do everything possible to destroy its military capability so that it will not be able to carry out attacks and shoot freely at us. One must understand the state of Israel. Since the rise of Hamas regime, and even a little before that, when it was a terrorist organization, before it controlled the Gaza Strip, suffers from a long course of fire, from mortars, from missiles, which is once in a while, and sometimes even weeks in a row. We must get to the point that we can say absolute victory. There is no total victory over terrorism. Terrorism was, terror will be, terror can drip. But once you know where the head of the snake is, and once you know where its headquarters are, you must act and eliminate it in its very root. Some terror cells will arise, a squad of terror here, a squad of terror there. These are things that can happen. But the leadership of Hamas, with the nature of Sinwar, I see two possibilities. Either he is eliminated, or he stands trial and receives a death sentence. There is no other option in my eyes, and I hope that we will achieve it. I hope that the state of Israel will complete its mission in the Gaza Strip, and that means entering all the houses in the Gaza Strip, and includes Rafah, the release of the kidnapped, because we are unable to bring to their release with the agreement, and at the end of the fighting, to take care of the day after Hamas, who will manage the civilian life in the Gaza Strip? Now, this is a question. This is a political question. Because the war, we will have to give the tools, allow statesmen to go to the next step. Everyone asked this question. The Israeli government should give the answer to this question. And if you ask me, about the events from the 7th to October. We must not stop until we create security and peace for the residents of the state of Israel from the evil enemy and said in the Gaza Strip. Another thing, the state of Israel determined for itself, and the Prime Minister spoke about it, and the Minister of Defense spoke about it, that we need to complete the task in Gaza, and go out and solve the incident in the north. We are with Hezbollah. There was an agreement called 1701, which established the borderline, which established that there be no fighting on the present border. And they unilaterally launched a campaign against us, taking advantage of the fact that we are also dealing with Hamas in Gaza. This is actually the next task to solve the fighting against the terrorist organization Hezbollah. Hezbollah is also a terrorist organization. By the way, as far as they are concerned, let Hamas people die. Hezbollah doesn't care if Hamas is dead or alive. The concept that people don't understand, the fact that everyone's common grounds is the destruction of the state of Israel and the murder of Jews, that is their goal. By the way, to eliminate the Jews, not us, and of course we will not let that happen. They will continue to the Western world. This is the thinking of fundamentalist Islam. After all, what business Hezbollah have with us? What argument do we have? We are a sovereign country in the territory of the state of Israel. The border is international with Lebanon. And so we must put an end to it. I hope that the great America, the friend of the state of Israel, the greatest ally that the state of Israel and the Jewish people have, allow, help, support, not only in defense, but on the attack to end this story. If we don't end this story now, this story will repeat and continue and drag on endlessly. And it is true, we have faced more complex days and great challenges, and I believe it can be done.
Wait, Eddie. You mentioned the US, and that's one of the things I really wanted to ask you. About them, we receive hundreds upon hundreds of emails and calls where people are really asking us what's going on here. We heard from President Biden talking harshly. We see what is happening here in our schools. In many universities, we also see how anti-Semitism is growing here. And my question to you is about Sinwar. And look what they want to do to our military leaders in Hague, Holland. They want to issue warrants to the heads of the army and even to the prime minister. We seem to be going in the wrong direction here. And even the USA in this, I don't want you to be too pretentious about this question. I'm asking you a question. Really sharp here and hard. Is there a situation that the US turn their back on Israel and really leave us completely alone? Because we see it and hear what the administration here is saying, and there is great concern. What are your thoughts?
Look, do not believe that the United States will turn its back on the state of Israel. The shared values and the common interests and the trust that exists between the peoples and between the countries must prevail. I don't see a situation that the United States, if there was entry of a terrorist organization or a terrorist state into the territory of the United States, and in perspective it's a murder of, let's even say, I can say tens of thousands of Americans, tens of thousands. In relation, I do not believe that the United States was sitting on the fence. At the entrance to Rafah, she would have known that the killer leader of the one who planned, arrived, and led this murder found in Rafah. Look, we should also learn from history. When America wanted to end the war against the Japanese, we all know what happened between Nagasaki and Hiroshima. We know what happened when the British bombed Germany. because you can't to go to war and to think that we are doing an extraordinary operation, even though the Israeli army is the most moral army in the world, that there is a possibility of harming innocents or innocents not involved, he stops. He stops.
Nevertheless, we see the delay of the bombs by the United States. It is amazing.
So I think it's worrisome, but the people of Israel love life. And if the state of Israel wants to complete the task so that we don't have another 7th of October and another 7th of October and another 7th of October, we must complete the task. The world should not stop us, and we cannot stop ourselves. We have no choice. We are a sovereign country who is deeply hurt, murdered, tortured, looted, conquered. What is so unclear here? I don't get it. You know, as one who lives here, and out of nowhere such destruction falls upon you, what do the people think? How does the world want us to solve this tragedy? After all, if Hamas wanted to solve this incident tomorrow morning, all the abductees would be at the border. Yes? Tomorrow morning, he would step down from power and the story would be over. After all, the solution can also be from the other side. And from there, it will never come, because their worldview says the destruction of the state of Israel. We are not saying to murder the Palestinian public. We are not saying to murder the residents of the Gaza Strip. We are not saying that we want to return and conquering the Gaza Strip. We have no interest in the Gaza Strip. We have no interest in Lebanon. We have no interest in Iran. So what are you waiting for? How do you want us to deal with such a terrorist attack that can repeat itself? Do you want us to go like a lamb to a slaughter? We, after the Holocaust, we will never go back to this situation. And this day, in some of the villages, in the south of the state of Israel, the 7th of October was a Holocaust day, and people need to understand that. And those who don't understand it, so apparently he doesn't know what radical Islam is. He doesn't know what a terrorist organization is. He doesn't understand that it will be waiting for him at home. And he does not understand what democracy is, what defensive democracy is, and what a person's right is to defend himself, his life, and his property.
You say they don't understand. You see the academic world at the universities at Yale, Harvard, Columbia, the Northwestern, Chicago, all the universities, and they support the academic world, supports these things. In the universities, how do you view the situation from Israel? Is the extreme Islam taken over the United States? Such a great increase. Drastic and anti-Semitism and anti-Israel is radical Islam already. Already took the USA captive. I am very worried about it, even here in English when we live. This is a very, very area, let's say right wing. We see a lot of violence against the state of Israel. What do you think about it?
I don't think that America is in a state of danger, but there is penetration already. Because you see the demonstrations, you see the behavior, you see the audacity, you see the ignorance. Forgive me, I think that the American government, the American security establishment, the American professionals know exactly what is happening here. I think the American Academy, listen to me, I say it clearly, it's ignorance, ignorance. If there is anyone there who supports Hamas, he is ignorant and against the country. Is all the values he believes in, he ripped to 1,000 pieces. This is ignorance for its own sake. Now look, Europe is conquered. Today, I visited Eastern Europe and Western Europe. I also lived in a European country for 2 years in the previous decade. And I tell you that Europe is being conquered by radical Islamists. Europe is conquered. By the way, this is called silent jihad. There is a noisy jihad in fundamentalist Islam, which is a jihad of war a war of commandment and there is a silent jihad who come, settle, establish mosques, religious classes, and that's how they take over. Slowly, slowly, people are being converted. After all, in order to be a Jew, you have to go through a process of study, understanding, deepening, acquaintance. To be a Muslim, you put your hand on the Quran and saying in front of two witnesses, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of God, and you are a Muslim. The solution for people in need to convert to Islam is a second and a half. It's not some kind of familiarity, deepening with the mind, with the understanding of what it means, what the status of individual rights is. They just don't understand, unfortunately. Do you know where this is understood? I am entering the world here, into geopolitics perhaps, but they understand it in Eastern Europe. Come to Eastern Europe today, you won't see refugees, you won't see radical Islam, you won't see a flourishing of mosques. There's nothing to be done. They understand it there in Eastern Europe and they act accordingly. But if I want to enter our arena, the Jewish people, the state of Israel, we are at the forefront of the war on terror, which is the terrorism of the Muslim Brotherhood, of Hamas, of Hezbollah, by the way, which is a Shiite movement in general. We are at the forefront of the activity of the Western world. Anyone who sees himself as part of the enlightened democratic world must support the state of Israel. Otherwise, he makes a mess of himself. He actually goes in the direction of suicide. That's what he does. Even if he lives in England right now, look what's happening there. Even if he currently lives in Sweden, look what's happening in Sweden. Check out what's happening in Malvo, in the area of Eurovision. It is simply unbelievable what is happening in this country. And so I say, look, we have full respect for all our allies, and there is a lot of respect, and we need our great ally, the United States. We need it, but we cannot go to the axis of suicide. We must complete the mission with Hamas to move to the other arenas, to put a stamp on the fact that those who embark on a criminal attack of murder, for the sake of extermination, the extermination of the Jewish people, this is an unacceptable thing to take, and it must not happen again. And the whole world should learn from this, and the modern world should back us up. We must not stop without completing the mission in the Gaza Strip. This is my personal humble opinion as a citizen of the state of Israel.
So you mentioned the word axis. I have a question. Maybe this is how to start summing it up. After all, we are on Memorial Day. Axis. Come talk to us for a few minutes about the Philadelphia axis. You did mention Rafah. A number of questions people ask me, and I really don't have an answer to this question. If the Philadelphia axis, there really is the conduit of all the terror into the state of Israel, of money, means of terrorism, etc., etc. Why we weren't there tic-tac to enter in, to take control of the axis to begin with? First question, and according to your opinion, part two question, where do you see this move now that we have entered Rafah? Where do you see it developing? In which direction the wind blow right now?
Look, I will say, first of all, the central axis and the axis of evil is the axis of Iran. And this needs to be understood. Iran, with Qatari funding and with the training of the terrorist organizations and their infrastructure all over the Middle East, this is the head of the snake. The day the whole world will understand this, at the level of sanctions, at the level of their nuclear program, we will be in the world. Better yet, it's actually the mechanism that pushes for her destruction. Certainly of the state of Israel, but of the modern world, of the democratic world. This is Iran. It is a danger, terrible one for the whole world. It should be clear, when we get down to the resolution of Philadelphia axis, it is actually the border between Gaza, Rafah in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip under the rule of Hamas, the Palestinian Authority, and Egypt. Now, This axis has always been a problematic axis. It has to be said. Even during the time when we were in the Gaza Strip, but we fought against the smuggling of weapons. We fought in the tunnels that were there. We fought to prevent terrorist activity on the Philadelphia axis. As soon as we left from the Gaza Strip in the year 2005, when we left Gaza and we allowed the Palestinians inside the Gaza Strip to lead their lives exclusively, and they chose the path of terrorism, the regular passage from Iran to Sudan to Egypt and Sinai, the Egyptian Rafah, after all, on the other side of Philadelphia and Egypt, there is the Egyptian Rafah. There is Rafah of Gaza and Rafah of Egypt. In the middle of the Philadelphia axis from north and south. As soon as we got out of there, a train of weapons started that you cannot imagine. Fajr 5 missiles, which are advanced missiles that arrive in the Tel Aviv area. Fajr 3 missiles. TNT materials of all types and species. People arrived who taught Hamas members how to build the Palestinian terrorist industry. Cornets have arrived, very advanced anti-tank missiles. All, of course, RPGs and Kalashnikovs and everything you saw today arrived there in a brutal attack. In fact, no one stopped it, except for a certain period when the Egyptians prevented the passage. But most years, the weapons entered freely and allowed Hamas to strengthen and build, to grow into an army of terror built according to a military hierarchy. 5 brigades and 24 battalions, platoon companies. Push command and control training, how to conquer the settlements, how to conduct a war. Those who wanted to establish the Gaza Strip and build it as a pleasant place to live did not have to do it for 1 hour. And hence, if we end this fighting and do not control Philadelphia access, and we will say that we are returning to the agreed international border, we'll actually let them to start strengthening again. And that's the story. Are we aligning with the Gaza Strip to solve the problem of terrorism, at least at the strategic level? There will always be attempts here and there by some kind of squad to raise their heads. Or do we accept Philadelphia to continue to be under Palestinian control and allow them to return and rebuild the terrorist army?
I'm confused about your answer. My question is simple. Why did it take us almost 7 or 8 months to get there? And this is part 1 and part 2. Who is responsible that the weapons will not enter? The Egyptians are not share responsibility if all the terror caves go underground there, as you explained to us from the Rafah Egypt to Rafah Gaza. Is Egypt also part of the problem since they share the border? Why have we done nothing?
First of all, in my opinion, the Egyptians were stressed. I think the pressure is unnecessary, in my opinion, that we will not enter Philadelphia so that masses of Palestinians do not cross the fence and will break into Egypt in the amount of hundreds of thousands. But certainly Egypt has responsibility. I can't say that Egypt supplied weapons to Hamas, but I can say that the Egyptians over the years did not completely prevent it. We can conclude that through Egypt in the end of the day, great amount of weapons and resources reached Hamas. I can tell you that the Egyptians have dealt with other challenges besides this thing they faced with ISIS and Sinai to Egypt. There were infrastructures that grew up inside Sinai that hurt Palestinian policemen, Egyptian soldiers. There were many cases of terrorist squads of ISIS and Sinai that killed Egyptian soldiers. also the Egyptians had a hard time with this thing. To say that they have no responsibility in this matter, so obviously they have responsibility in this matter, but the Egyptians are a country with which we have peace, with which we have communication, and they do not want to take responsibility for what is happening on the Palestinian side. If you ask me, you can always do more. But it will never end with the Egyptians completely preventing the passage of weapons. And you know, what we don't do probably won't do the way we want it to happen.
Hamas, give us an order in 60 seconds. I think there is enormous confusion about the fake Hamas deal. Why did the state of Israel not accept the Hamas deal? And why is it impossible for the state of Israel to accept the Hamas deal, that it completely changed the original draft of the state of Israel? Please give us a quick summary in this whole matter.
The Hamas want to come for some kind of deal that allows him to end the war, continue to strengthen and build, and prepare for the 7th, for next October. That's the bottom line. This is his mission he wants to finish. The war that the Israel Defense Forces has fully moved out of the Gaza Strip, and that it can continue to control the Palestinian population by force and deterrence. By the way, most of them support Hamas. It should be said that the majority of Palestinian citizens support Hamas because of the ideology and doctrine of the Muslim Brotherhood, and the state of Israel cannot allow this thing. Which country will be ready with her own hands to allow a terrorist entity with a terrorist army to continue to grow, to prepare for us the 7th of October once again? What country can agree to such a thing? And here, the state of Israel had to stop and to take another step in Rafah. And again, if you ask me, I think that the media exaggerated the treatment in Rafah beyond all proportion, beyond any logical operational reason, and made it a kind of as if to be or not to be, in my opinion, is much less than that. And we saw that when they decided within a few hours. The IDF was already at the crossing, tanks were at the half Rafah crossing, the entire open area was already under Israeli control. There is some deterrent effect, there is some pressure effect, there is some intelligence effect, and you have to go ahead and finish the job. Because otherwise we will never end this cycle of terror. We have no choice. Unless we want to live in a free country as citizens. Adi,
witness what you see in Israel. Of course, Israeli society is very divided in this period, right and left. From what you see where the wind is currently blowing with this operation in Rafah, I feel that something here has changed. Something fundamental with what Hamas did with this trick they did with their false offer. And there is like a certain support to continue this promotion right now and really try to finish the operation with success. How are things in Israel? Let's ask like this right now, if you can give us a picture of the situation.
I think most citizens of the state of Israel understand that the release of the kidnapped is the supreme mission of the state of Israel. And after that, the destruction of the Hamas regime, the removal of its control over the Gaza Strip is a threat of the rocket fire and terrorism on the borderline. On these matters, most of the citizens of the state of Israel agree. There are political arguments here. There are political debates here about those responsible for this failure, because there was a government here, there is a prime minister in his tenure. The 7th of October called us. We have here heads of the security system and senior commanders. And I think if you ask me as a citizen of the state of Israel, I very much hope that we end the fighting as soon as possible and go to the elections. Because after such a failure, it is not possible to continue as if nothing happened. The state of Israel needs to choose a new leadership. The state of Israel needs to grow a new leadership. New ones that will emerge from the reserve forces, from the business world, from the education world. I would be very happy for this to happen. We need to change our way of thinking. We need to change the division among us. We need to talk about the unifier and the common, and not about the rivalry and the division. And I believe that this thing will happen. I am sure that it will happen. I believe in Tzur Israel. I believe in the Jewish people. I believe in all the citizens of Israel. I think that the citizens of Israel, also the non-Jews, showed solidarity to the state. There are also Christians and Druze and Muslims here who fought. Some of them were also killed, and I think we must complete this task, then go to the elections and work on binding our wounds, because what happened to us on the 7th of October is a result of operational and intelligence assessments on the one hand, and some may call it a sin of pride, but I think it is also, it also has some kind of name for it. There is also a responsibility, what happened to us in Israeli society. And I very much hope that we will know how to start a new way with a new leadership after the war.
Good words are strong words to all of us. Last question, we are on the eve of Memorial Day. If I were to ask you, give us one thing that you want the world to remember today, this evening, what would you answer? And another question, in the day of remembrance for the Jewish people, for the people of Israel, what is your message for the world to remember? And for all of us, the Jewish people, to remember today. On this evening, we unite with all the martyrs of Israel.
This is what I say. The nation of Israel is the nation of eternity. The Holocaust that happened to us in World War II, it will not return. We have a protective army. We have the defensive and offensive capabilities, which I think we haven't used in a large part of them yet. We have a wonderful nation with wonderful people. We saw all the citizens mobilize in defense, in everything related to first aid, even in the difficult issue of identifying the bodies. What they did to us is simply terrible. I will not go into that in the summary sentence. We saw the younger generation of the people of Israel that reminded me of the generation of the silver tray, generation similar to the one in 1948, who founded the state of Israel, entered under the bed under fire and fought. I tell you, you saw determination in all sectors. You saw determination in the police. You saw determination in all fronts. We saw determination in the Mossad. You saw determination at the police force and in the Israel Defense Forces, which is like no other people left everything and went to fight. I want to tell you, on a personal level, you know that I am also the chairman of the Sagat Amir Association, named after Amir Meital, who was the commander of the brigade, who was my commander in the battle that I am also. I had to rescue him after he was killed fighting in Lebanon. I want to tell you, our association that takes care of youth, that is teens at risk, makes a difference, and is enlisting them to the IDF. One of our fighters who came from Afula, Daniel Bezagdov, his memory may be blessed, made a difference during high school. He went in and enlisted in the IDF for Nahal Brigade. He went to patrol Nahal, finished a course in a patrol in an elite unit, and fought on the 7th of October and was killed during the fighting for the protection of our people. When I see the continuity of the generations in the war, that I see our youth fighting until the last drop of their blood, I know that we have a future, that our people are the eternal people, and we promise to continue to believe in Tzur Israel forever and ever. The people of Israel are strong. He gave, and we will complete the task, and we will live here with dignity as a Jewish and democratic state forever and ever.
Amen. And what do you want to say to all the people around the world? The nations of the world who forget what we have already forgotten the 7th of October, because people will watch it worldwide.
I'll let them know. May the Jewish people and the citizens of the state of Israel, here in their war on terror, in Hamas and Hezbollah, and also against the Iranian oppressor. We are the pioneer of the whole enlightened world, the democratic world, the world that seeks progress. We are at the forefront. Not on us. If they were successful on us, they come to you in Europe, in the United States, they will come to you. Don't get confused. Check me, check what the Muslim Brotherhood is. Learn. You will learn the sermons of their Imam, the statement of faith Muslim Brotherhood. Learn the Hamas Charter. What kind of thing is it that a terrorist settlement happens to annihilate of another country? Listen to what the Iranians say about the destruction of the state of Israel, and you will understand that we are also protecting you. Whoever do not understand this, or either he is ignorant of the people of the country and lacks education and knowledge, or he simply ignores the reality and does not understand what is happening in the Middle East and what is happening with the Islamic fundamentalists. And I expect people to read and study and investigate the matter based on facts, not fiction. Listen to Mosabu Yosef, who was the son of the leader of Hamas, how he speaks today, an American citizen. Listen to what he says. Listen to his messages in a universal sense. What does he think of the Jewish people as a Palestinian citizen? Listen to him and trust me, connect my words to his words, and you will have insights in this matter. Am Yisrael Hai.
Amen and amen. Let it be so. Friends, first of all, I have to say a really big thank you to Adi Carmi for your time. This interview is simultaneously translated into all languages, and I hope all of you share and watch and pass it on. The message must be shared. And that's what I take from Adi's message to us. Israel's war today is the war of the whole world tomorrow. Who believe that believe in the value of life. It is very simple, just like that. And today I think about it, about all the martyrs of Israel and how much they have sacrificed. But as we understood from Adi, how many sacrifice today and tomorrow? By laying down their soul for the nation that one cannot describe without boundary. And you, people watching us today, both Gentiles or Jews, remember the words by the prophet Isaiah, for Zion's sake I will not be silent. We have to keep talking about it and stand by the truth. On the side of honesty. And you in the United States too. Please call to your senators. Raise your voice at this time so that, God forbid, we will not experience another Holocaust on the Jewish people. Like in Germany where people were silent. We will not be silent. And we will not fail until the coming of the Messiah soon in our days. Thanks you, Adi Carmi. All the best to you and to the people of Israel. Shalom, friends.